Welcome. And I'm so excited to have Portuguese tax expert Pedro Gaudencio with us today. Hey, Pedro.
Hello, Shauna. Everything good?
Tudo
Thank.
bem? E você?
Também, obrigado. Gracias.
I don't know how good my Portuguese is, but there's so many Americans listening today and potentially watching the video that are curious about moving to Portugal. And the biggest thing that stands in their way is taxes. And I'm sure you know, but that's why I'm so excited to have all of you listening today, tuning in, because we're going to be diving into the Portuguese tax system and how Portugal can become a reality for you and get hopefully some of those tax questions answered. And so Pedro is here with us from Portugal Taxes. You can find him on PortugalTaxes.pt. That's the website. He has 20 years of experience as a tax consultant and accountant. So, anyways, Pedro, will you tell us more about you? Tell us where you live too and how you got into um, the tax world in Portugal.
Okay. Thank you very much for your invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you, talking about a little bit of my work and how we assist our customers. What I can say is like I'm a certified accountant in Portugal. I have like 20 years of experience in being accountant and business consultant. Um, More recently, I noticed like a big wave of expats coming to Portugal, and most of the times these these people they didn't have like the enough knowledge, or the tax system is so different from where they come from that they need assistance. So, and my wife is also an expat, just to
That's
and she
right.
needs assistant. She needs assistant when she came here, and I it's something like now I'm currently do, and we work at Portugal Taxes. We work mostly our core business. It's providing tax advisor to expats in Portugal. Most times, the main questions are concerning with double taxation problems, how to avoid being double taxed, because sometimes people, if they make the wrong steps, they can be double taxed. There are double taxation agreements, but the double taxation agreements only work if the taxpayer know how to use them and now understand these 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 details. We work on this. We provide tax advice on this. We also provide tax filing services to people that are already in Portugal, and we work also with partners in US to assure like a coordination between the tax filing in Portugal and the tax filing in US.
Oh, perfect. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your intro and being here with us today. And tell us just quickly, where do you live in Portugal?
Ah, yes, I forget about that. I live in Leiria. Leiria is a city between Lisboa and Porto. It's near the coast. It's a little bit north of Silver Coast. A lot of people come to Silver Coast too. It's near Nazaré. Do you ever heard about the biggest waves in the world?
Yes.
They are in Nazaré. It's very close to this city.
Wow, very cool. Well, hopefully people can get to meet you at some point or at least be closer to you when they move to Portugal. So let's jump in. So one of my first questions is, so what are the key differences between US and Portuguese tax systems that Americans should understand before moving?
Well, one of the biggest differences between U.S. tax system and the other all tax systems in the world is like in U.S. U.S. tax based on nationality, and so if you are American, wherever you are, the tax department want to tax you. In the Portuguese or the other systems, usually the taxes are based they just tax if you are resident. It's based on residence criteria. For example, for Portugal, I can say that if you are a Portuguese resident, you are taxed on all incomes that you receive wherever you receive it in the world. If you are not a Portuguese tax resident, but you have like assets in Portugal that generate income, you can also be taxed, but only on the income that you make in Portugal, not on all income. This is like the main idea. Other thing that is also important to understand is like, and sometimes people they think like, we have these laws in US and these laws are the same in other jurisdictions. This is not true. What is law? It's in US. It's different laws. We have different laws. We make different calculations. We have different taxes. This is the like going. For example, if we go to like a specific question, for example, Social Security. In US, it's taxed just 85%. For example, in Portugal, it's taxed 100%, but we have some kind of deduction that reduces the amount. But this is just a simple example that about the differences.
Oh, interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. So, another question people get a lot is, does Portugal tax worldwide income for residents, and how does this interact with US taxes under the US Portugal tax treaty?
Yeah. Well, what I already mentioned that if you are a Portuguese tax resident, Portugal tax all incomes that you have. Like if it's dividends that you have in US, if you have like properties in US, you have rentals. Uh, Portugal you have to declare here everything if you are a tax resident of Portugal, and you have to pay taxes on all that incomes. Uh, of course, there are the what's would be interesting there. It's like you are subject to taxation in Portugal and you are subject to taxation in US because you are American, and this is where we work. There are ways to mitigate this double taxation. Sometimes you can pay a part of the taxes in Portugal. Other times you can uh, you can reduce like the this. You have to see where where you pay taxes, and you there are ways to not pay the the taxes two times in two different places. There are ways to mitigate. For
Oh,
example,
got you.
in Portugal, we work a lot with foreign tax credits. Like imagine if you receive like dividends in US, there's a double taxation agreement. Like in the Portuguese tax resident cannot pay more than 15% of dividends in or the US agree with Portugal that they will not tax more than 15% on dividends. Okay, and Portugal, usually in Portugal, the tax on dividends would be 28%. If if just let's say one example that people just that person just received dividends, they would pay. They say to the tax department they are Portuguese residents. They pay 15% in US. In Portugal, the Portugal will consider like a credit of this 15%. So you will not pay here this 28%. You just pay the difference because you already have. So you have a credit in Portugal.
Okay.
Other ways that also very interesting. It's how in US they eliminate the double taxation. Of course, I'm not a US accountant, but we have partners that know to answer this better than me. But in the US, there's also a foreign tax credit. It's a way of eliminating double taxation. It's more or less works in similar terms that I talked to you about in Portugal. It's like they consider if you pay $1 of taxes in Portugal, they could consider that $1 as credit in US. And another thing is the foreign income exclusion that if you have like incomes from certain categories that are obtained in other countries, and if you pass some certain tests, they can be considered like exempt of taxation in US. But this is
Interesting.
you are going. I think I give you too much details. I went too much in detail on this.
Yeah. What are the, I mean, are there, what are the certain categories? Because I'm curious to know if you think that the remote workers that are listening or the retirees, people that have pensions or social security, like, would they be able to benefit from those certain categories or it's something totally different?
No, we have to understand when we look at each tax each person is a person, of course, and it's a case when you have different type of incomes. We have to look on the incomes that people receive and where is their source, and understand which are the jurisdictions that are that have that can tax, and understand how, if we read the double taxation agreement between the two countries, we have to understand, for example, where to file first or where to file second, or to understand what's the better way to mm, to mitigate this double taxation,
Right.
this
Okay. Got it.
potential double taxation. Okay.
And I like how you meant, I know how important that is, how you mentioned everybody has a personalized situation. And I know this firsthand because all the people in my Move Overseas Now Academy, all of my clients that I help move abroad to Europe, everybody's situation is so different. So sometimes, if y'all are going online and like looking for tax advice from like blogs or articles, it's not taking into consideration your specific tax situation, because that's why I'm such an advocate of like, if you want to move somewhere, get a consult with a tax expert. We've all done it. All of my clients do it because it will make you clear on what you're getting yourself into and where you could be expecting that your money will be going. And just for those that are listening, in the description, we do have the links for Pedro to get in touch with him to schedule a call. And just because you're listening today, there is going to be 5% off of your first consult. So if you use the code, just tell him the word Shauna, that's me, you will get the 5% off of the consult. So we're happy. Thank you, Pedro, for allowing us to do that.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
And of course, I was saying that a lot of things, that there are a lot of information online that sometimes is not very accurate. And in Portugal, the laws change. They change very frequently, and sometimes what at that time that law was right, but the law changed. We can talk about NHR, that it's a question that also had a lot of changes in the last years.
Yes. And I want to get into NHR in a second. But speaking about changes, I don't know if you heard, Pedro, Spain is implementing a new law. Now, this is just to let all y'all know that things change all the time. And if you really want to move abroad, we don't know if visas and the frameworks are going to be as easy for Americans to move in the future because so many people are moving. So if you really want to do this, I mean, I would consider, I would let, my advice is for you to start working on it now and to start doing it before it's too late. Some people are waiting 2, 3, 4 years. They have this big plan, but we don't know
And
if,
then the law changes.
yes,
And
the laws
everything can
change.
change. Yeah,
In Spain, for example, now for non-residents, if you want, I don't know if you know this, Pedro, if you
I
want to
read about
buy
this 2 days ago. Yes, yes.
100% tax rate now for people that are non-EU residents who want to buy in Spain.
Yeah, I
So
know that
that's
they try to eliminate the possibility of non-residents to buy houses, something like
right.
this.
So like things change all the time is what we're kind of trying to relay the message. Okay, so the next question I have is under the original NHR program, and for those of you who don't know what the NHR program was Pedro is going to explain it, but it's the non-habitual regime. What type of foreign income were exempt from Portuguese taxes, and how did this benefit Americans?
Okay, I have several Americans in that situation that they have gathered that this NHR, this NHR program, it was it finished in 2023. Even in 2024, there was like some kind of transitory period for people that were in the process of the program was canceled in 2023, but for the person that were in the process of immigrating to Portugal. The government allowed them to benefit till this year, last year, till 2024. The main benefits were like if some type of incomes if they could be taxed in the country of origin, like for example dividends, interests, rentals, if they could be taxed at the country of origin, they would be exempt of taxation in Portugal. Uh, I have several clients in Portugal that, for example, they are receiving rents or they're receiving dividends or interests from American source, and they don't pay nothing in Portugal about on that incomes. That they are completely exempt. Um, there were other incomes that could be for like professional activities, like for independent work or from dependent work. If there were if there were activities made in some if these activities were considered like high valued activities, they could be taxed at a flat rate of 20%. And for higher incomes, let's say more than higher incomes, what is an higher income is another discussion. What is an higher income in Portugal or normal? It's different what is an higher income in the US. But let's say for people that receive more than 40, 50,000 euros would be much better to be taxed at 20% flat rate than by the general tax rates in Portugal.
Yeah.
This was also present in this NHR that finished in 2023. Um, uh, and a lot of people are benefit from that. And it was very simple process because for benefit from that system, the only requirement was not to be resident in Portugal in the last 5 years. Uh, this created some sense of injustice from the local population that saw people not paying taxes, and this make like this sentiment of injustice made the government change the law and make a new law that we can talk to.
Interesting. It makes sense. I mean, it kind of makes sense, and I feel for the locals for sure. So I
But
know.
it's a question. It's this is discussable because
Yeah.
there are usually it's people that come that bring new ideas that spend money in the country, that invest in the country, that create people sometimes create jobs in the country. It's this. So this was a program also to attract new people to the country. So
Okay.
there's a trade-off between the tax and what what these new people in the country contribute. So
Right. I
it's
understand for
discussable.
sure. What about, okay, so now for all of you should know there is a new, so the NHR is still around, but it's called NHR 2.0, and it's totally different. So I know there's some pretty big key changes. I'd love to know, Pedro, what are the key changes introduced in NHR 2.0 regarding foreign income exemptions and tax relief for Americans. And also my question is like income outside of Portugal, how does that work? Tell us about the new NHR 2.0.
Okay, basically, if we talk about the sorry, if we talk about the exemptions and and the benefits, they're very similar to the original version. Uh, if the incomes come from from a foreign source, they could be exempt from taxation in Portugal, or there was the question of the 20% flat tax rate on incomes from independent or dependent services, like work for a company or like a contractor or an employer. Um, the most or the what I can say is like this system now, it's much more restrict and it's much more difficult to assess because it's just you don't need just to be 5 years, five uh, 5 years not being a tax resident in Portugal, but this it's more connected with people that come and connect with the Portuguese system. What I say about Portuguese system? Portuguese system, I would say that would be universities or would be agencies of innovation or with the local companies. So it's much more. You need much more to connect with these companies, uh, or you can come to like to be a teacher in a university and you can access these tax benefits, or you come to work in a Portuguese company that has tax benefits and you are working in that Portuguese company, or you come and join you come and work for a startup company, or you are member of the board of a start company. You have to be much more connected with the Portuguese system than before. Before you could make your activity all outside of Portugal. Now you cannot. Now you need to have like some kind of connection with the Portuguese environment.
Okay.
Mostly it's by connecting with the local companies. Uh,
Wow.
there are details that can be explored in more deep. Of course, I cannot explain all the legislation in now we're talking, but in a consultancy session we can go more deep on the specific opportunities. But the
Yeah.
legislation is public, but the process to achieve this NHR status, it's not so easy that was before. And another thing, the law was published in the beginning of 2024, but only in 23 of December of 2024, not a long time ago. We are recording this in January of 2025. These the instructions or the institutes that recognize what is eligible to be NHR or not. This law was recently published. It was like uh, we still we still need to understand how the tax authorities will respond to the demand of our clients. I can say that I already have several people that are interested in applying for this NHR 2.0, and I still wait some feedback from these public institutes that need to give an answer. But the law is so recently that they still didn't give the answers, but it's a question of adaptation.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think
Interesting. I have
it's
another.
it's difficult, but it's possible.
Okay. So if somebody came in on the D8 digital nomad
Mhm,
visa, but they are working for American company in kind of the areas you're talking about, like innovation, would
mhm.
somebody be able to pick up work in
Uh,
Portugal to be able to benefit from that new regime?
Yeah, I would say that's the most, it's difficult, but probably they should connect with some kind of startup that already exists here in Portugal. They can have, like, imagine you can have two jobs, but you
Yeah.
should connect with a Portuguese startup or create your own startup. I think
Mm,
this is the way to achieve the this NHR 2.0. One of
wow.
the most one of the routes that we are exploring more. It's this connection with
Interesting.
the startup environment.
I
And
really
of
like
course
this.
you can have two jobs, or you can have part of your activity connected with Portugal and another part of activity connected with other countries.
Interesting. And does it have to be a certain percentage of income that you have to
Mm,
meet is coming from Portugal,
mm,
or it doesn't matter as long
No,
as
that's not defined on the law. That's not defined.
wow.
What
Interesting.
I can say now, it's in this new, in the previous legislation, you get the NHR and you get the NHR for 10 years. In this new version of NHR, you can also get this NHR for 10 years, but you have to maintain this connection. Let's say you cannot, okay, now you come and you meet one of the criterias that is being have a job in a Portuguese startup, okay, and you connect with that startup, you have a job in that startup, and then you get NHR. But if you don't maintain this connection in the next year, you will not you will gonna lose this each year. You have to evaluate, you have to prove that you're still keeping the initial criteria that was used to get this benefit, or
Right.
there are other type of criteria, or change that criteria for another one.
Yeah.
But this you have to maintain this connection.
And
The
after 10
percentage,
years, it's
what
done. After 10
what
years, it's done. Finito.
after 10 years it's done, but in 10 years maybe there will be new tax benefits, so it's
That's
the
true.
laws change,
Yeah, exactly.
let's
That's
say.
why it's important to stay updated. So I'm happy that
Or, for example, one benefit that it's very important, and people also should be aware of this. It's the government published a new benefit that's called IRS Jovem. This is for people that are till 35 years, and they can get, but it's for people that don't use NHR. So you can get NHR, or you can get this tax benefit of ERS Jovem. And this ERS Jovem can allow you to reduce your taxable income. For example, in the first year, for 10 years, then can have reductions in the taxable income. And in the first year, the tax reduction, the taxable income reduction can be for 28,000 euros. For example, it's very important in some kind of for digital nomads that sometimes that the incomes are not so high. This is very important values, and or for people that are less than 35 years old. This is it's a great incentive, but it's not. You can choose. For example, you can choose this ERS Jovem. That is easy to assess. It's not complicated to assess, and the road for the NHR it's much more complex.
wow. Thank you so much for sharing. This is such good information. I hope all of y'all are enjoying everything Pedro's sharing. So what documentation, Pedro, would people need to show as proof to to qualify for NHR 2.0, especially for Americans in startups, research, or these other recognized fields? What kind of documentation or proof do they ask for?
Here it's more. I would say here will be more a connection with the. For example, you need to have show like a contract or contract of work with a startup. Usually, this kind of documents or contracts normally like uh, contracts like that show that there are connection with
Mm,
these entities. Not
got it.
cannot be normal contracts with Portuguese entities. If you have, if you are member of the board of the entity of the startup, there are proofs, there are documents, internal Portuguese documents that show that you are a member of the board. A board. This is the most common documents that are predicted in the legislation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm guessing they would work directly hand in hand with you to help prepare all of this, to present it to.
Yes, we are we as what I can say these we what I can say we are starting this process because this law just recently was operationalized. Uh, we are excited to help these people to get these tax benefits. I think we can help to make all the necessary steps. Sometimes, what I can say that these we are in the process of changing. So sometimes sometimes can be some delays or some can be some problems with the Portuguese tax authorities or whatever. I will not promise now at this phase a smooth process. I cannot because, as I said, the law changed very recently. We are starting to put up the cases, start to contact the authorities. But of course, we are here to
Exactly.
help you to get these tax benefits. If
Perfect.
or
I
to
yeah,
advise which the tax benefit is better. Because, for example, for some person with certain type of incomes, for the PRS showing can be better than NHR. This depend on the type of incomes that you have.
right.
So, it's important to understand what is the best tax strategy to follow.
Well, perfect. I mean, thank you so much for sharing all of this. And I want to offer you guys for listening today 5% off if you use the code Shauna at PortugalTaxes.pt. The description is below. You can set up a call with Pedro. That's the 5% off deal by using the code Shauna. How can people get in touch with you and kind of tell us what the process is like after they do get in touch with you? And what you guys could be working on throughout the lifespan of them, being in Portugal.
Well, as you say, you have our contacts. The best way to contact us is by checking our website that you already mentioned, or you can contact us by WhatsApp or by email. Usually, our best way to reply is by email. We usually ask more details about each situation. Normally, we ask some questions to understand how we can help or not help. And if we understand what the client need, we can provide advice. If you understand that the client don't need our help, we will not advise. But normally, what the process is, we get information, and after we get the information, we can understand what's the best way. Normally, we make some sort of advice, and after we have several clients. Most of our clients come by getting some consultancy about which setup would be best, and after we in the next years we proceed with their tax fillings. This is normally what how we work.
Nice. I love that you also do the tax filings as well. And I know you mentioned before you do documentation review and filing assistance. So, and this is another misconception before we close out. A lot of Americans do try to find, you know, one person to do everything. But just letting you all know, it's going to be very hard for you to find someone who is a U.S. expat tax expert and that country you're moving to. You're going to have to work with typically two separate people because you're going to need to file in the US and you're going to have to file in Portugal. So you do need to have somebody local on the ground. But the benefit of Portugal taxes is they do have partners in the US and they also can get all your stuff done on the ground in Portugal. So thank you so much for being here, Pedro. I'm sure this was so interesting and for people, and I learned a lot. I do have a question though. What's your final secret? And it doesn't have to be tax related. What's your final secret for people that want to move to Portugal that are like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should go. They want to go in the next 12 months. What's your advice to them? What's your final secret you want
I
to
would
share?
say come here and see, pass here some time, talk with the people from here, taste the food, drink the wine, travel around, try different locations, go to the north, go to the south, talk with other people that already live here, and see if this is the best solution, the best the destiny for you or not. Every person can choose. It's different, and I think I like very much to live in Portugal. But I'm Portuguese. I live here. I like to live here.
Yeah.
Uh,
What do you
but
like about it? What do you think attracts people there? What do you like the most about Portugal?
I think we have a relaxed way of life. I think we are not. This is a secure. There's still secure country. We have most time of the year we have good weather. Sometimes okay, in winter not so good, but the weather is more or less good. The food is good. We have good traditions. I think
Yeah,
it's interesting to live here. I like here. So,
of course. I love
but
Portugal as well. Okay, so
but
you said food two times.
yes, maybe
What's the best
sure.
food in Portugal? Tell us. Your
Come here
favorite.
and try. Come here and try. Come here and
You don't
try.
have a favorite?
I don't know. No, I like. I like. Oh, we have very good grilled fish. We live in the coast. Most of the population live near the coast. We have really good fish, uh, but we have my favorite. Okay, me. I like very much grilled fish, but
Okay,
we have very good food. Uh,
nice. Well, thank
Come
you
here
so
and try. You better come first, like in a tourist trip. I think it would be the best way. Don't make your bags before you come and understand if this is for you or not.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. Well, you guys can go to the notes in the description, PortugalTaxes.pt, or email Pedro, and you can use the code Shauna for 5% off of a consult. Thank you, Pedro, for being here with us.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. I'm wait to one day to meet you also here in Portugal and to receive you.
Yes. Okay, awesome. Well, good night.